BodyBags, where horror lies.
Hey guys, Rob from Georgia here with you, VHS82 apostrophe, and I'm your Wednesday night host of BodyBags, and it is week 299, and it's a big week for me because it marks my 30th video for BodyBags, and so I thought, I gotta do something, so I thought, let's go 30 years back. Let's pick a film from 1989, and little did I realize at the moment when I decided to sort of do this, that Zombie Flesh Eaters 3 was an 89 film. And so since not too far back, I did the second one before, or the one that came before it, I thought, well, it's 30 years old, it's video number 30, and 1989, it's an interesting year because it kind of marks that halfway point, or that middle point between when I had just left high school and I was going to be entering into the Army for 4 years, and so 89 was an interesting year, and it was probably my last real summer of just whatever, and it was a good summer though. I remember that summer really well. Parents had a house on the lake, and it was just a nice summer. And but 89, I mean, what do we have in 89? I mean, we were saying goodbye to the 80s, not realizing just how good we had it probably. I was 19, looking ahead to, the 20s or whatever, but let's see, Freddie was weaving up a dream child in 89, and Michael was chasing after Danielle Harris a second time, little Danielle, and let's see, Jason was taking on Manhattan in 89. Intruder was waving goodbye to the great decade that was the slasher decade of the 80s. And Claudio Fragasso was sort of waving goodbye to what was a decade or more of zombies as we knew them back then. And so Claudio Fragasso, if that's how you say it right, Zombie 4 Afterlife, or Zombie Flesh Eaters 3, and the only one that really comes after this is the film that came out 1 year before this one, but then got remarketed to kind of fit into the whole zombie thing, and that is, of course, Killing Birds. And really hoping that I'll get that for my daughter for Father's Day. But Claudio's film, if I remember the story right, of course, Lucio gave us the great classic 79, and in 88 he tried to follow it up, would be Zombie Flesh Eaters 2, and of course he had to sort of bail out early on that. Bruno Mattei came in. I think Claudio sort of had an uncredited role in that, directing. But this film, Claudio gets to take front and center and sort of put his own stamp on the zombie thing as it was, right? And so in some ways, Claudio's film sort of goes back to the original formula, which involved voodoo and whatnot. But look at this for a minute here. Jeff Stryker, just a couple of them, plays Chuck. Candice Daly, of course, Jenny, our lone survivor from our very long intro into the film. Massimo, Vanni, I think is how you say it, David. And Jim Gaines is Dan, and of course, Ottoviano, Dell'Acqua, I think it's how you say it. Of course, he's an uncredited scientist, and he probably is one of the most famous zombies ever, the one who comes up out of the earth in all its glory in the original Fulci classic. But this film is 30 years old, and aside from Killing Birds, really, this is sort of the last, well, as Claudio says, sort of the last gasp of the zombie films as we knew it, especially those films coming out of Italy. And with this story, it's for me personally, the story sort of is a little bit more up my alley than the previous entry, even with all the issues that entry had. It's a miracle that movie was even made. But this film was also shot in the Philippines, and the plot really deals with, as we're sort of, we meet the protagonist, Jenny, is a little tiny girl in the beginning. Her and her parents are trying to flee the island, this island in question, where it's sort of convoluted in a way. The story is never really absolutely straight. But really, you've got some researchers on this island that have been trying to find a cure to cancer. You've got some of the indigenous population, the folks on the island that don't appreciate some of the things that the researchers are up to. You're never really privy to exactly what's done or possibly done. There's a lot of allusions made to the possibility that the researchers were up to no good and perhaps were overstepping their own moral authority in terms of the testing they were doing to find a cure. And really, ultimately, the great moment is, unfortunately, this young girl will die as a result of these researchers, these scientists who are trying to basically save her. She will die, but her father's the witch doctor. And so he calls the mother of all curses to unleash the dead upon the scientists, the researchers, that whole group there. And so basically, all you know what breaks out. And all we really see is some principal, we're really not even principal characters, at least in terms of what they're used for in that beginning intro, trying their best to flee. And then you jump ahead some years later, and the little girl now is grown up, Jenny, and again, it's never really quite explained, but she's with a group of mercenaries, and well, depending on where you listen, what you read, how you really take in the film, she's either there somewhat accidentally, which is kind of an odd thing, or she's there with purpose and intent to uncover what's happened to her folks. She can't really remember that memory, or those memories will sort of come to light later on in the film. But as they're passing by the island in question, and this is, I guess, part of this sort of the voodoo essence of the film, their boat mysteriously sort of conks out on them, and they have to basically beach there at the island. And when they go into the interior, as they're moving into the interior, we've got a few hikers out over here who basically find the source point of where this voodoo curse was originally unleashed, and they unwittingly or with some intent, naively, set this curse back into motion by reading out of a book that they ought not to be reading. And so the curse is unleashed once again, although it's weird because you do see some zombie action before that curse is officially re-energized. And so it kind of makes you wonder if there aren't some zombies running around the island that are just sort of aimless or whatever. But these zombies, not to give too much away, that really is the plot, and really it's up to Jenny and those around her who ultimately will survive towards the end finale. It's up to them to basically save the day, find some answers, and ultimately, if they can, get off the island. Well, I mean, what can I say? I mean, I love jungle horror, so the fact that this film takes place on an island is the beginning of some good things for me. The zombie effects aren't what they were in '79 with Lucio Fulci's vision. They really sort of strayed away for the convenience of shooting quickly and just getting these things made fast and out. A lot is sort of left to be desired, but it is a fun ride, and you can tell even through the self-imposed restraints that Claudio puts on himself. You can tell it just has the vibe of just wanting to be fun, a fun movie to watch. And so even though we're not getting the '79 Fulci type zombie effects, I will say this: the very beginning of the film, we got some good practical effects, and in the closing moments, there are two effects, man, that are just, I freaking love these effects. What happens to, I think it was Chuck is his name, and what happens, Chuck, what happens to him and what happens to Jenny, not to give away the end, but it's you're going to take it either or. I love it. I love how this movie ends. It could not end any better for me. You can't please everyone, but I love it. I love how this movie ends, and I love how they sort of poured what money they had into the initial effect just to kind of get it rolling, but then they save what they have for the end and they deliver. Man, these two effects at the end, they sort of remind you of Dead Alive just a little bit. In fact, too, there are moments early on that sort of have a Demons vibe going on. It's kind of weird. I think there's some homages or nods being given to other films by Claudio. Some nods to Fulci and maybe some perhaps Lamberto Bava's work. And but maybe the greatest thing about this movie is what this movie attempted to be, what it could have been, and even though it doesn't really quite become what it could, man, there's just a lot of room for your imagination and just for you to kind of fill in things and wonder, whatever it is you want to wonder. But I didn't even show this off yet. This is the 88 films release of this film, and boy, just the cover art. I love the cover art to all of them. Even Killing Birds, that cover art's pretty cool. The only thing you really get in here is you get a nice little book. Callum Waddell, I think, writes up a little piece in there, which is really good. And the slip cover, of course, came. Absolutely beautiful slip cover. Absolutely beautiful. So, the packaging is really nice. But, yeah, Zombie Flesh Eaters 3. I've watched this probably 3 or 4 times now, and I'm digging it more and more. And I don't know, I just love the Italian thing. I just love... There's an innate quality about Italian films, even within, some would call it cheese and everything else. There's just, I don't know, they're fun. They're fun. I absolutely love Italian cinema, and I'm becoming a bigger fan every day. So, yeah, Zombie Flesh Eaters 3, or Zombie 4 Afterlife. And the song, I don't know if you can really hear this, but man, once this song gets in your head, you just can't get it out. And a few little extras on here. Just Claudio and his wife are on here, Run Zombie Run, and there's an interview with Alan Bryce, which is really cool, actually, that kind of looks at the video nasty phenomena. And that's pretty cool. So 88 Films, man, does a good job. And so I guess I'm just going to kind of end it there. And I will say this, next week, of course, is the OG week. We got some people coming who have not done BodyBags in quite a while, who are going to be delivering up the goods next week. And they'll be reviewing a film for which we, the week after, will actually have to review the remake, which ought to be a lot of fun. And in fact, I'm doing It's Alive remake. Already got it from Bull Moose. It's on my shelf, just waiting to be watched. But next week will be a break from the regulars. But man, have fun with the OG guys, man. Have fun. It's going to be a great week. I cannot wait to watch every single video next week. So yeah, BodyBags, man. It's where to be. Be sure to be checking out every video every day if you can, if there's any way you can. And if you've been with me long enough, I've been through this way too often, but all this stuff is coming down here shortly. We're moving yet once again. And all I can hope for is once it all goes back up again, it ain't coming down for a while. But so be aware of that. There will come a point in time where I'll be having to do some videos, I'm sure, whether in the car or out and about or wherever, but I'm not going to have this convenience for a little while. But anyways, Zombie Flesh Eaters 3, Claudio Fragasso, some Italian goodness, and man, it's awesome. It's good stuff. As always, we end with Go Bills.